crooked Hillary. She's crooked. She'll be a horrible president. She knows nothing about job creation. Her husband signed NAFTA, which destroyed this country economically, I will tell you. You look at New York State, you look all over New England, you look at Pennsylvania, NAFTA was a disaster. Her husband signed it, and it was a disaster for this country. Hillary will be horrible, absolutely horrible on economic development. She will be terrible on jobs. She knows nothing about jobs, except for jobs for herself. And when it came to answering the phone, at 3 o'clock in the morning, she was sleeping, okay? She wasn't, with Benghazi and all of the other problems. You look at what she did with Syria. You look at what she's done in so many different ways. She will not be a good president. She doesn't have the strength. She doesn't have the stamina. I know about dealing with China. I've made billions of dollars dealing with China. China can be dealt with, and you can get along with them. But Hillary does not have the strength or the stamina to deal with China or other things. But bottom line is, one of the big problems our country has is problems with trade, where you have China, Japan, Mexico, so many countries just ripping us left and right. The politicians cannot handle that problem. 2 reasons. Number one, they don't have the competence to do it. Number two, most of them are paid off through campaign contributions so that they don't touch certain things that the people want touched. When people are making less money in real wages than they were 18 years ago, and then some people say, wow, he had a big crowd. That's one of the big reasons. I mean, you have people making less money today, as you know, because you see every stat. Less money today, David, than they made 18 years ago. And in some cases, they're working 2 jobs. So they're getting older and they're working harder. Shouldn't be that way.
You're not worried at all about being labeled?
No, I don't worry about it. No, I don't worry. I'm not a hateful person. I'm a person that loves people. And make America great again. I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, she's going with that because she thinks it's great. I'll do far more for women than Hillary Clinton will ever do. Including, remember this, including protecting our country, because she will not be good with the military. She will not be good with protecting our country. And she's had her shot. And she also raised her hand when it came to Iraq. And she shouldn't have voted. And if you remember, just take a look at the things that Bernie Sanders was saying about Hillary Clinton. She said she's not qualified. He said she is not qualified to be president. But he said something else that was disqualified. What's qualified? I mean, you got to go out, you got to run, and you see what happens. But he said some things about her that were so incredible, and so incredibly bad. There's a great level of hatred right there, but he's been telling the truth. And I really mean it. I think Bernie Sanders should run as an independent. I think he'd do great. Okay. I think the party is seeing me that way. I'm getting calls that, as I said, you wouldn't believe. I'm getting calls from people that I really can't even know how they can do it because they've said such horrible things about me. Now they want to join the team. Chris can tell you that. Ben Carson can tell you that. Other people can tell you that. I'm getting calls. Corey can tell you. Paul can tell you. We're getting calls from people where I actually say, how can you do this? How can you do this? How can you do it? And they have no problem. But the fact is, names that you wouldn't believe, names that you interview and say, oh, Trump, 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 and now they're calling they want to join the team. Oh, well, a lot of them will be coming out soon. They want to come out very soon. Yes? Sure. I mean, tomorrow's going to be, I think, interesting. It's going to be some of my views on foreign policy and defense and lots of other things. So we'll be discussing, and part of it is the economics. I mean, I was asked a question recently by Wolf Blitzer on CNN, and he talked about NATO. Well, I gave a great answer. I gave an answer that at first people didn't like, and then they said, you know what, Trump is right. Experts said. I said it's obsolete, and too many people are getting a free ride because we're funding 72, 73% of NATO. You have 28 countries, and many of these countries are just taking advantage of the United States. And you have to pay up because we don't have a country with 19 trillion in debt that can afford this anymore. You have to pay up. And part of what I'm saying is we love our countries and we love our allies. But our allies can no longer be taking advantage of this country. This isn't 40 years ago, and it's not 20 years ago. This is now. And we have to rebuild our infrastructure. We have to rebuild our country. We have to get rid of ISIS, and we have to get rid of them fast. Our military is totally depleted. We have to build it up. It's going to be the cheapest thing we can do. And a lot of great things are going to happen. We're going to make America great again. No, you're going to really hear different things. Yeah, right. I'll never change one thing. You know what I will never change? Make America great again. I will never change. That's one thing. No, it's not going to be the Trump doctrine. And you know what I say? It won't be the Trump doctrine because in life you have to be flexible. You have to have flexibility. You have to change. You know, you may say one thing and then the following year you want to change it because circumstances are different. And I've followed people for years, and I have friends that are the most successful people in the world. Many of them are endorsing me. Carl Icahn, many of the great business people are endorsing me. You have to have flexibility. You can't say, this is my doctrine, I will not move, because the world changes, countries change, leaders change, lots of things happen, so you can't say that. Okay, yes, sir, go ahead. We don't have a ceiling. You know what our ceiling is? I think it's 100%. We don't have a ceiling. And again, the ceiling was always so unfair because I'm going to just do it again because I want to do it because it's so important. But the ceiling, wait a minute. The ceiling, they kept saying he doesn't hit the 50%. Well, now they don't say that anymore. But how do you hit 50% when you have 16 people in a race? You can't do it. No, you don't understand. I have many people running. I think I'm going to win New York. No other Republican can say it. I think I'm going to win, conservative voters. Did you see the polls where they're coming out tonight? The most conservative people in the Republican Party tonight back Donald Trump. The most conservative. Okay? Come on. Got to see the polls. Go ahead. The debt is the single biggest question I'm getting, student debt. And we're going to work on that. We're going to make it much different. The biggest problem the students have, they have the problem with debt, but they go to a good college, they borrow right up to here, and they're choking on debt, and they graduate, they work hard, they get good marks, and then they can't get a job. I'm going to bring jobs back to this country like you've never seen. That's the biggest problem. Well, we have a lot of contrasts in terms of jobs. We have a lot of contrasts in terms of how I would handle Wall Street. Look, Hillary Clinton is funded by Wall Street, folks. I mean, she's going to get the nomination unless she gets herself indicted with respect to what's happening with the emails, okay? You know, what I don't understand, you look at what's happened to so many other people, and they went through hell. Their lives have been destroyed for doing less than what Hillary Clinton did. What she did is an outrage. It's an absolute criminal outrage. And for her to be able to run as a Democrat, that's why maybe Bernie Sanders isn't finished. But the only way you can say that is if something happens to her. She's being protected by the Democrats because what she did, and I see it, and whether I read about it in the papers or I watch it with experts, legal experts on television, virtually every single one of them said what she did is a criminal act, and what she did is a very, very dangerous thing for our country. And yet here she is running for president. So I think that Hillary, honestly, she's a flawed candidate, and I think she's going to be easy to beat. I think she's going to be much easier to beat than most of the 16 people that I competed with just recently. Go ahead. To me, always the #1 security threat to the United States is nuclear. That's our biggest threat. It's our biggest risk, the power of weaponry. And we have to be unbelievably careful. The single biggest, it is not global warming. President Obama said the biggest threat to our country is global warming. That's cool. Give me a break, okay? The biggest threat to our country is nuclear. And we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. We're going to do something where we'll have a real partnership with China. You know, we have a lot of power over China. China